Hi, this is Gary with MACMOST.com. Let me show you how to type different currency symbols on an iPhone or iPad. MACMOST is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 1,000 supporters. Go to MACMOST.com/Patreon. There you could read more about the Patreon campaign, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. So trying to type currency symbols on the iPhone or iPad can be pretty tricky. On the Mac, you've got the emoji and special character viewer, and you can always search for them. But if you try to do the same thing on an iPhone or iPad, you don't come up with those symbols. However, there are plenty of different ways to get all the different currency symbols that you need. So I'm going to use notes here to demonstrate, but this could be in any app, mail, messages, or whatever. Now for the major currency symbols, you can just do it with the keyboard. If I tap the 1, 2, 3 key at the bottom left like that, you can see there's the dollar sign. Now if I tap the symbols key right above that, then you can also see the euro, pound, and yen signs there, and you can use any of those. So those are easy to get to. Of course, this is going to depend on which keyboard you're using on your iPhone. This is the US English keyboard. Other keyboards may have different symbols if you press the number keys and then the symbol keys. But there are actually more hidden behind the dollar sign key. So if I use the 1, 2, 3 key to show the dollar sign and I tap and hold the dollar sign key, you can see a variety of different currency symbols above. If I then move my finger, just dragging it without releasing, I can select which one of these I want and then release to get that currency symbol. So that covers most of the major ones, but definitely not all currency symbols. So here's some more ways to do it. One thing you can do is simply have a note that has those currency symbols in it and then copy and paste from that note. Now you can create this note on your Mac and through iCloud they will sync with your iPhone. So for instance, here's a note that I created on my Mac. I used any of the techniques I talk about in my previous video on how to type these symbols on a Mac. And then I just created this nice little list. Now if I want a symbol, I can just tap and hold and copy it and then go to whatever document I'm working in and then tap and paste to get that symbol. So this is handy if you have a lot of symbols but you don't need to use them all the time. You just have this nice list there. And it's also nice because you can label each of them. So if you sometimes forget which symbol matches which currency, you can just have that in your handy list and have it formatted and arranged however you like. Now you can also just search the web for a symbol. So this is handy if you haven't set anything up in advance. So just type the name of a currency, like let's try rupee, and then Google it. And usually Google will give you the result there at the top, but if not, you can pretty quickly find a web page that lists it. And then you can select it there and copy and then paste into a document. So this can be handy if you just need a symbol right now and you don't want to mess with any of these other methods. Now you can also use text replacements for this. So this is the same concept as on the Mac. If you go into Settings and then you go to General and then Keyboard, then you've got text replacements. And you could add a text replacement. So you could have the phrase be the symbol. So you could have copied that from a web page or somewhere else and then paste it in here. And then you have to give it some sort of shortcut that is something you wouldn't normally type. So maybe for instance a dollar sign followed by a letter like that. And then you could just save. And of course you could have done the same thing on your Mac. They sync over iCloud. So you can set these text replacements up on your Mac if you want, or you could set them up right here on your iPhone. And now if you type that, like dollar sign and R, you could see how it's going to replace it. If I press space, it just replaces it with that symbol. It's a little tricky if you want to use it without a space. But if you do something like dollar sign and then R and then type a number immediately after it like this, you can see it does nothing. But if on the other hand you type a number first and then do the dollar sign and R, it will actually convert it to a symbol. Now another thing you can do is simply dictate to Siri. Siri will recognize some of the currency symbols. So let's give that a try here. 50 rupee. And you can see it even put the rupee symbol before the number. So that's kind of handy. Good to know. Now I usually don't like to talk about third-party apps or extensions or anything like that. But in this case, this one comes in handy. It's called Uni Keyboard and it's a free app in the App Store. It's been around for a long time and it adds a third-party keyboard to your iPhone or iPad. So there are lots of different apps that add third-party keyboard to do various things. This basically just gives you access to lots of different symbols. So once you have this installed, you need to go back into Settings, General, Keyboards, and then under Keyboards you need to make sure it's installed here. If not, you can tap Add New Keyboard and you should see third-party ones appear here. So once that's added to the list, you can now switch to it whenever you're typing. So I'm going to tap the little globe button at the bottom left and it will switch to this keyboard here. If I scroll up through the keyboard, you could see one of the first groups here is a currency group. You can also tap this little menu here and jump right to currency symbols. So you get all of these different currency symbols here and you can select one to type it and then just switch back to the regular keyboard with the globe key again at the bottom left. So there are a lot of different ways to type currency symbols on your iPhone or iPad. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, click the thumbs up button below to let me know. I publish new tutorials each weekday. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out.